My friend's younger brother requested a ride. You won't believe what unfolded. Remember to give the video a thumbs up, share your insights in the comments, and subscribe to keep up with our newest tales. The request seemed so commonplace, almost trivial, yet it ignited a curious flutter in my chest. It was a Tuesday, one of those dreary gray afternoons in November, when the sky appeared to hover mere feet above the rooftops. The daily grind, my beloved coffee shop. The ambience is defined by its eclectic chairs and the soothing, persistent hiss of the espresso machine. I had been cradling a lukewarm latte for nearly an hour, gazing out at the rain-soaked street, enveloped in a silence that had settled in as a familiar presence since my children had left home and Richard and I had chosen to tread our own separate journeys. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Eleanor, Margaret, to be precise. People generally refer to me as Ellie. Just as I was preparing to stow away my laptop, my phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message from Diana appeared, my oldest companion, the sort of friend who is intimately aware of all your hidden secrets, for she was there to assist in burying them deep. The communication was brief. Hello, Elle. Is that an unusual color? Would you be able to provide Caleb with a lift to Oakhaven? His vehicle is currently undergoing repairs. He is currently at my residence. Caleb, the younger brother of Diana. It had been ages since I last laid eyes on Caleb. Goodness, it must have been at least 15 years. Perhaps even more. He was merely a boy in those days, a gangly youth with a tousled mane of brown hair and a bashful grin, perpetually following Diana and me, caught in a blend of admiration and irritation. Oakhaven was a delightful 45-minute drive, a charming little town tucked away in the foothills, celebrated for its antique shops and serene allure. The afternoon stretched before me, an empty canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of possibility, leaving no compelling reason to decline. Absolutely. I responded with a message. I shall arrive in 20 minutes. As I approached Diana's well-known, somewhat dilapidated Victorian house, I spotted him on the porch, and for an instant, my breath hitched in my throat. This was no longer the slender youth etched in my memory. There existed a man named Caleb. He stood tall, towering over my memories, his broad shoulders filling the confines of his unassuming denim jacket. The wild brown hair remained, perhaps a touch shorter now, yet still possessed that youthful inclination to tumble over his forehead. His smile, upon seeing my car, transformed from shyness to warmth, radiating openness and framed by laugh lines around his eyes that told tales of a life fully embraced. He carried a duffel bag draped casually over one shoulder. He appeared, in a single term, quite appealing. Truly exceptional, he possessed a subtle strength, an undeniable self-assuredness that drew people in with its charm. A warm flush crept up my neck, and I couldn't help but think how absurd it was. I was 52, for heaven's sake, not some flustered schoolgirl. He opened the passenger door and slid in, ushering in a rush of crisp autumn air, accompanied by the subtle, inviting aroma of sandalwood and a hint of something distinctly masculine. Eleanor? How time has flown. I truly appreciate this. Thank you, your assistance is invaluable. His voice resonated with a depth I had almost forgotten, a rich baritone that rolled out in a pleasing manner. Caleb, what a pleasure it is to see you. No problem at all, I replied, attempting to maintain a light and carefree demeanor, even though my heart was performing an odd little tap dance within my chest. Oakhaven, is it? What draws you into that realm? I eased away from the curb, the aged engine of my reliable sit-in resonating with a tune I knew all too well. It's mostly about work, he remarked, easing himself into the chair. I am, in fact, a carpenter. Perhaps you did not. There exists an old inn, known as the Willow Creek Inn. They are undertaking an extensive restoration, and I am providing my expertise on certain bespoke woodwork elements. This morning, my car chose to have a fit, as one might expect. He let out a soft, effortless laugh. Is it a carpenter? How delightful, Caleb. Your skill with your hands has always stood out in my memory. You constructed that wild treehouse in your parents' backyard, didn't you? He flashed a grin, and in that moment, I caught a glimpse of the boy he once was. Indeed, the the one that almost came crashing down on Diana. She continues to torment me over that. As the bustling city streets surrendered to the meandering country roads, we found ourselves enveloped in a comfortable cadence of dialogue. The somber afternoon light seeped through the skeletal branches of trees that flanked the highway, casting the scenery in a palette of subdued hues. We engaged in conversation about Diana, naturally, reminiscing about her most recent escapades. Our conversation meandered through his carpentry, the fervor evident in his voice as he spoke of the intricate grain of various woods and the profound joy of resurrecting forgotten treasures. He inquired about me as well, not merely with courteous questions, but with a sincere curiosity that was palpable. He inquired about my empty nest, my endeavors as a freelance graphic designer, and how I spent my time now that it belonged more to me. The conversation unfolded with a surprising intimacy that caught me off guard. Perhaps it was the confines of the vehicle, or the echoes of a shared past, however faint. Perhaps it was merely Caleb himself. He possessed a remarkable ability to listen, truly listen, his hazel eyes intent, a subtle smile dancing at the corners of his mouth. I discovered a vulnerability within me that had long been dormant, sharing the subtle solitude that occasionally enveloped me, the sensation of standing at a crossroads, uncertain of the path ahead. He refrained from providing empty cliches or simplistic solutions. He simply absorbed the conversation, nodding in understanding, and now and then offered a thought that was unexpectedly profound. The scenery became increasingly enchanting as we approached Oakhaven. The undulating landscape unfolded before us, adorned with time-worn farmhouses and the sporadic presence of vineyards, creating a picturesque scene on both sides. The air carried a freshness, a crispness that invigorated the senses. "It's beautiful out here," I whispered, my words drifting into the air, perhaps more for my own ears than his. "Indeed," he conceded, his eyes gentle as they drifted toward the window. "It possesses a tranquility that nourishes the spirit." He then directed that gaze toward me, and for an instant, our eyes connected and lingered. It wasn't precisely a flirtatious glance, not in the truest sense. It was an experience that transcended the surface, a spark of comprehension, a bond that ignited that familiar, yet intensified, flutter within me once more. A warmth blossomed within my chest, an emotion I had not fully recognized I had been longing for so deeply. It was the deep, uncomplicated solace of being recognized, genuinely recognized, by another soul. The journey was nearing its conclusion. Oakhaven lay just beyond the curve, and within me, a surprisingly substantial part resisted the thought of its conclusion. As we cruised along Oakhaven's delightful main street, adorned with vibrant storefronts and gas lamps that began to flicker in the twilight, Caleb gestured toward a majestic, somewhat time-worn building at the distant end. "That is all." The Willow Creek Inn and It appeared as if it had been plucked straight from the pages of a storybook, featuring a broad porch and ivy gracefully ascending its weathered stone walls. I arrived at the threshold. "Here we find ourselves," I remarked, making an effort to maintain a cheerful tone. Yet, beneath the surface, there lingered an unmistakable hint of something more, a certain wistfulness, perhaps. Caleb lingered, hesitating to rise from his seat. He shifted in his seat, directing his attention towards me with greater intensity. "Eleanor," he started, his tone gently shifting, "your gratitude is truly beyond words. Not merely for the journey, but for the dialogue. It has been quite pleasant." "It has been pleasant, Caleb," I confessed, locking eyes with him. The atmosphere inside the vehicle grew electric, heavy with words left unsaid. The delicate aroma of sandalwood enveloped my senses, weaving its way through the air with an enchanting allure. He was tantalizingly near. Flecks of gold danced in his hazel eyes, while a few rebellious strands of hair tumbled across his brow. In that fleeting moment, time seemed to suspend itself, and I experienced a tug, a compelling force that ignited both excitement and fear within me. What was unfolding in this moment? This was the younger sibling of Diana, yet he had outgrown his smallness, and I had transformed into a different woman than the one I had been 15 years ago. The stillness lingered, imbued with a fragile tension, the sort that vibrates subtly beneath the exterior, hinting at possibilities, or maybe cautioning against them. I pondered whether he experienced it as well. He ultimately shattered the enchantment, yet his gaze remained locked with mine. It seems I shall be here for a few hours, perhaps more. Perhaps I should indulge in a meal before I decipher the bus timetable for my return journey, unless… He paused, a glimmer of uncertainty crossing his mind. Ambiguity. Anticipation. Within the depths of his gaze. Unless you find yourself unhurried in your return to the city. Oak Heaven boasts a few commendable venues for an evening meal. A flutter stirred within my heart. The rational side of my mind, the one that typically took charge, shouted, "He's Diana's brother. You possess an age that could easily align with his. Indeed, more like an older sister, really." Yet a different part, a softer, more daring voice that had lain silent for years, murmured, "Why not? What is there to lose?" It was that voice, yearning for connection, the very one that had felt so vibrantly alive during our journey, that responded. "Indeed, Caleb," I found myself uttering, a smile dancing upon my lips. "I find myself in no urgent haste. I would be delighted to share a meal together." His face brightened with a warm, authentic smile that creased the corners of his eyes. "Great," he said, his voice imbued with a buoyancy, a youthful enthusiasm that was simply enchanting. A quaint Italian eatery nestled just off Main Street awaits discovery. Grandmother's, the most exquisite lasagna you will ever savor, I assure you. It shall be Nana's, then. A wave of delightful anticipation surged within me as I nodded in agreement. As he stepped out of the car to grab his duffel bag from the back seat, I inhaled deeply, attempting to calm the unanticipated pulse racing through my veins. This came as a surprise, without a doubt a surprise. As I observed him circling the car, his movements fluid and assured, I couldn't help but feel a thrill of anticipation, a sense that this gray November day might unexpectedly offer a touch of warmth after all. He opened the door for me, a gesture so antiquated it was nearly jarring, yet it felt entirely fitting in his presence. "Shall we proceed?" he inquired, extending his arm in invitation. For a brief moment, I paused, my hand hovering before it finally settled gently on his forearm. His touch was warm and firm, sending a shiver coursing down my arm. It lacked the trappings of romance, at least on the surface, yet it carried a weight of importance, akin to stepping over a subtle, invisible boundary. Nana's embodied all the charm and warmth one expects from a quaint Italian eatery in a small town. The atmosphere is warm and inviting, softly illuminated, adorned with red and white checkered tablecloths, while the enticing scent of garlic and oregano wafts through the space. A warm, robust woman adorned with flower on her apron, likely Nana herself, welcomed us as if we were old friends and led us to a cozy booth tucked away in the corner. The ambience was cozy, a far cry from the impersonal, fashionable eateries I occasionally visited in the city. In this space, whispers floated softly, laughter rang true, and the delicate sound of wine glasses clinking created a soothing backdrop. "This is lovely, Caleb," I remarked, as I settled into the booth. The weathered leather of the seat exuded a sense of warmth and familiarity. "I'm glad you like it," he replied, his eyes shimmering in the soft glow of the candlelight. "This place has become one of my cherished locales during my workouts. Wholesome, genuine nourishment, without any facade." A bottle of Chianti was ordered, and as he poured, our fingers lightly grazed each other. A minuscule flicker, yet I sensed it, and caught a fleeting look from him that implied he had sensed it as well. Our conversation flowed even more freely than it had in the car. He shared with me the details of the intricate restoration work at the inn, the challenges of replicating craftsmanship from a century ago, and the joy that filled him as he witnessed a piece of history being revived beneath his skilled hands. His enthusiasm was captivating, and I became engrossed, inquiring further, envisioning the intricate details he painted with such clarity. He, in turn, elicited from me a discussion about my own artistic endeavors. I revealed my nascent aspirations of perhaps, one day, bringing to life the illustrations for a children's book, a notion I had scarcely shared with anyone, not even with Diana. He neither laughed nor dismissed it. He leaned forward, a serious expression etched on his face. Eleanor, you ought to take that step. Life is fleeting. Don't let your dreams gather dust on a shelf. What types of narratives would you choose to bring to life through your illustrations? In an instant, I found myself weaving tales of whimsical creatures dwelling in enchanted forests, concepts that had long been tucked away in the recesses of my imagination. He listened with a fervor that enveloped me, making my small dreams seem like the most significant treasure in existence. In his gaze, there resided no judgment, merely a sense of encouragement. It was a rare and invaluable treasure, that sort of concentrated attention. The lasagna made its entrance, and true to its promise, it was nothing short of divine. Rich, cheesy, and profoundly satisfying. We dined at a leisurely pace, relishing both the flavors of the meal and the richness of our dialogue. The wine enveloped me, dissolving the remnants of my reservations. I discovered a laughter within me that had been dormant for months, a true, hearty laugh that resonated from deep in my belly. Caleb possessed a dry wit, a nuanced sense of humor that unexpectedly caught me off guard and brought me delight. He recounted a tale of a calamitous early carpentry endeavor, featuring a crooked bookshelf that led his very first client, his own mother, to threaten to sever ties with him. I, in turn, recounted a few mortifying tales from my formative years as a graphic designer, one of which involved a logo I inadvertently crafted upside down. There existed a seamless connection between us, a harmonious cadence that suggested a familiarity forged over many years, transcending the simple label of a friend's younger sibling and instead positioning us as equals, as companions. In that moment, there existed no discomfort, no hint of generational divide. Instead, two souls intertwined, forging a connection that resonated with unexpected depth. The flickering candlelight gently blurred the contours of my face, and I wished it would illuminate the authentic joy that radiated within me. His gaze met mine, igniting a sense of allure and intrigue within me. Not merely Diana's friend Eleanor, but Eleanor, the woman herself. As we concluded our meal, a soothing silence enveloped us for a brief moment. The restaurant had settled into a serene hush, the clamor of the dinner rush now a distant memory. Caleb swirled the remnants of the Chianti in his glass, a contemplative look gracing his features. "You know," he said, his voice low and intimate, "I almost didn't ask Diana to text you today. I assumed you might be occupied or perhaps just didn't wish to intrude." I felt a warmth in my heart as I spoke, my words laced with sincerity, each one resonating with the truth of my emotions. This unforeseen evening was evolving into something truly remarkable. "Likewise," he remarked, our gazes locking in a silent exchange across the table. Once more, that gaze lingered in the air. A gaze that transcended mere friendliness, one that was both probing and filled with gratitude. It radiated a warmth that transcended mere friendship. It hung in the air just a heartbeat longer than necessary, igniting a new surge of warmth within me. My breath caught in my throat. I sensed I was teetering on the brink of an extraordinary moment, poised on the edge, where the earth below was both exhilaratingly unpredictable and irresistibly alluring. Beneath my soles, the atmosphere hummed with an unspoken tension, a tangible bond that had been forming gradually since he first settled into the seat beside me. The world around us began to dissolve, leaving only the two of us bathed in the gentle radiance of Nanis, on the brink of an idea. Uncertainty enveloped me, yet my heart raced, caught in a tumult of apprehension and an exhilarating, strange hope. He extended his hand across the table, enveloping mine as it lay beside my wineglass. His touch conveyed a blend of tenderness and strength, his fingers bearing the marks of labor. A striking juxtaposition to the gentleness of my OW, and it lacked any sense of ownership or arrogance. It was a comforting sensation, anchoring me in the moment, yet it surged through me like a current, racing up my arm and igniting my heart, which now thudded audibly in my throat. "Eleanor," he murmured, his voice a soft caress, his thumb gliding gently over the back of my hand, almost undetectable. "This has been an experience beyond mere dining. At least, that's how it is for me." A constriction gripped my throat. I found myself nodding, my gaze fixed intently upon his. The depth of his gaze was mesmerizing, pulling me closer. In that moment, I perceived a raw vulnerability coupled with a sincerity that utterly disarmed me. All the societal norms, the shalls and shall nots that typically dictated my thoughts appeared to dissolve like mist under the gentle embrace of the morning sun. What lingered was a genuine, unblemished bond between two spirits that, despite the challenges, had serendipitously crossed paths in the most unforeseen manner. This sensation is unfamiliar to me. Cozy. This resonated with someone after a considerable stretch, he continued, his candor striking like an explosion. Perhaps for eternity, I feel the same way, Caleb. I succeeded in uttering the words, my voice trembling slightly, and indeed, it was a truth I could not deny. The comfort I found in his presence, the freedom to be my unrefined self, was a sensation I hadn't encountered in years, maybe not even during the waning moments of my marriage with Richard. This experience resonated with a sense of novelty, a refreshing authenticity that set it apart. He smiled then, a slow, tender smile that illuminated his eyes and made them sparkle. He spoke, his thumb persisting in its mesmerizing little waltz upon my hand. What unfolds next? It was an uncomplicated inquiry, yet it lingered in the atmosphere, laden with potential. What has transpired now? I found myself navigating uncharted territory, devoid of any guiding map. There is no script prepared in advance. A part of me yearned to withdraw my hand, to seek refuge in the comfort of the known, to express my gratitude for a delightful evening and return to the tranquility of my structured existence. Yet, a far greater and more compelling aspect of my being, the one that had sensed a glimmer of genuine elven essence today, yearned to lean in, to traverse this unexplored journey. It seems we will come to understand it. His grin broadened. The melody of that resonates with me. He offered my hand a soft squeeze before letting it go, yet the warmth of his touch remained. I've heard whispers of a charming old library within the inn's walls. A plethora of inviting armchairs awaits. There are still a few hours left before I must turn my thoughts to that bus. Are you interested in taking a look at it? Perhaps we could enjoy a coffee there? The invitation carried a sense of ease, yet it resonated as a significant moment, a new threshold to cross. The inn serves as a present, transient abode. It exuded a warmth that surpassed Nana's. At a crossroads, my thoughts surged with urgency. Diana would surely have a fit, or might she? She often remarked that I should venture out more, to embrace life a bit more fully. What thoughts were truly occupying my mind? A cup of coffee. A dialogue unfolds within the hushed confines of a library. It was, for the most part, innocent. Yet the undercurrent was unmistakably present, a delicate pulse of attraction that rendered everything imbued with meaning and intensity. A library, you declare? I playfully prodded, seeking to ease the weight of the emotions churning within me. With plush armchairs, you understood the path to a woman's heart, Caleb. He let out a hearty chuckle, the sound enveloping the air with a rich warmth. My intention was to bring joy to Eleanor. The bill appeared, and just as I was about to grasp my purse, Caleb had already settled it. My treat, he declared with conviction, yet his smile left no room for dissent. Your intervention spared me from the trials of the Ocavan bus system today. It is but a small gesture on my part. Outside Nunna's, the November night had enveloped the world in its dark embrace. The atmosphere was sharp and invigorating, infused with the subtle aroma of wood smoke wafting from a far-off chimney. The stars, untouched by the glow of urban life, shone with a brilliant fervor against the dark canvas of the night. In that moment, it seemed as though we existed in a realm all our own, untouched by the outside world. The inn is just a short walk this way, Caleb said, gesturing down the quiet street. He refrained from offering his arm this time, instead walking alongside me, our shoulders occasionally grazing against one another. Every unintentional brush sparked a delightful thrill within me. We strolled in a serene quietude for a brief while, the sole accompaniment being the crisp crunch of dried leaves kale beneath our steps. The streetlights illuminated the path, their glow creating elongated, swaying silhouettes that moved gracefully before us. "Thank you for dinner, Caleb," I remarked, shattering the stillness that enveloped us. "It truly was a marvelous experience." "The pleasure was entirely mine, Eleanor," he responded, his tone imbued with sincerity. He cast a fleeting look my way, his silhouette striking and alluring in the soft glow of the surroundings. I truly meant every word I expressed in that moment. Today has unfolded beautifully. I confess, it was indeed true for me as well. The day, which began under a canopy of somber gray and an air of hostility, was now drawing to a close, infused with a sense of potential and a subtle excitement. The Willow Creek Inn stood majestically ahead, its windows radiating a comforting glow that beckoned us closer. It appeared even more enchanting from a closer vantage, a treasured remnant of a past age, carefully maintained. As we crossed the expansive, groaning porch, a wave of nostalgia washed over me, as if I were being transported to another era. The lobby unfolded before Caleb's eyes, just as he had suggested, enveloped in rich, dark wood. In a room adorned with antique furniture, a grand stone fireplace stood as the centerpiece, its cheerful fire crackling and popping, casting playful shadows that danced upon the walls. The scent of aged tomes, citrus polish, and smoldering wood filled the air. It exuded an irresistible warmth. "This way," Caleb said, guiding me past the check-in desk, where a warm, elderly woman offered us a courteous ode. As we strolled through the quiet corridor, the sound of our footsteps reverberated gently against the gleaming wooden floor. He paused in front of a set of imposing, dark oak doors. He proclaimed the library with a subtle flourish. As he swung one of the doors ajar, a gasp escaped my lips. It was a paradise for those who cherished the written word. Every wall was adorned with floor-to-ceiling shelves, brimming with leather-bound volumes. Luxurious velvet armchairs, inviting and plush, were thoughtfully positioned in intimate corners, each accompanied by a delicate reading lamp that cast a warm glow. A grand bay window at the distant end framed a view of a garden bathed in moonlight. The room stood vacant, enveloped in silence, imbued with a tranquil, almost hallowed ambience that only spaces brimming with books can exude. "Whole Caleb," I exhaled. "It is truly magnificent." His smile revealed a genuine satisfaction with my response. "I had a feeling you would appreciate it." "Select a chair. I'll see if I can conjure up that coffee, or perhaps something more potent, should that be your inclination. It seems they offer a respectable array of brandies." "Coffee would be perfect," I remarked, my eyes gliding across the room, already sensing a tranquil calm enveloping me. This room exuded an aura of tranquility. He nodded, returning in a flash. As he quietly departed, I ventured further into the library, my fingers grazing the spines of time-worn tomes. The aroma of aged paper and leather enveloped the senses, a heady delight. I selected an armchair position by the bay window, a sumptuous, deep green velvet piece that appeared to exhale a breath of comfort as I settled into its embrace. The silhouettes of trees danced softly in the night breeze, their branches etched sharply against the luminous sky of the moon. The tranquility was truly remarkable. Contemplating the unexpected course this day had embarked upon filled my mind. A straightforward plea for transportation had resulted in this unforeseen bond with a man I scarcely knew, yet felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity with. A man younger than I, indeed, yet he carried a maturity and a profound depth that dispelled any worries regarding the disparity in our years. He illuminated my existence. He evoked within me a sense of intriguing. He awakened a sense of vitality within me that had long lain dormant. A delicate tension lingered in the air, an understanding of his masculinity and my femininity, yet it remained neither predatory nor unsettling. It was thrilling. A soft murmur of allure that infused our exchanges with a delightful spark. It had been ages since I experienced that kind of spark with anyone that I had nearly lost the memory of that sensation. With Richard, our bond had gradually slipped into a soothing, familiar rhythm long before the conclusion. This experience was fresh, full of surprises, and carried a hint of peril that was utterly captivating. What was I engaged in? I considered myself a practical, mature woman in the prime of my life. A nurturing figure. Just emerged from a recent divorce. This was not part of any of my meticulously crafted life blueprints. Yet, life has a peculiar knack for tossing unexpected surprises our way. Wouldn't you agree? At times, those unforeseen twists revealed themselves as delightful surprises. Caleb reappeared moments later, balancing a tray adorned with 2 steaming mugs of coffee and a delicate plate of biscotti. Success, he declared softly, a smile dancing at the corners of his mouth. He placed the tray gently on the low wooden table that stood between us. "You possess a multitude of skills, Caleb," I remarked, reaching for a mug. The aroma of the coffee enveloped the air, deep and robust. With a touch of ingenuity, he responded, easing himself into the armchair across from me. He reclined, exuding an air of tranquility, as if this moment, sitting in a serene library, sipping coffee with me, was the most effortless occurrence imaginable. We savored our coffee in a tranquil hush for a brief interlude, the only sounds being the gentle crackle of the fire from the far-off lobby and the sporadic sigh of the wind beyond. The ambience enveloped all in a warm, snug embrace. A wave of deep contentment enveloped me as I initiated the conversation. Shattering the stillness, I urged, "Share more about this inn. What has been the most captivating revelation you've encountered during your time here?" His eyes sparkled with excitement as he began to weave a tale about a concealed compartment he had discovered in an antique writing desk. Inside, he found a collection of letters from the early 1900s, penned by a woman to her beloved who was away at war. He painted a picture of the faded ink, the delicate handwriting, the poignant words that spoke of love and longing. As he spoke, I found myself entranced, not merely by the tale he wove, but by the manner in which he conveyed it, his voice imbued with a deep respect for the history he had uncovered. He possessed a remarkable ability to weave tales, crafting vibrant imagery through his language. It felt as if I were cradling a fragment of another's essence within my grasp, he murmured, his tone gentle, a gentle reminder that a century ago, individuals experienced love, concern, and hope in much the same way we do today. "That's truly remarkable, Caleb," I whispered, profoundly moved by his thoughtfulness. It revealed an unexpected facet of his character, a tender, almost lyrical reverence for what once was. He was more than a carpenter. He was a chronicler of wood, a keeper of tales. The dialogue unfolded with a natural ease from that point onward. We shared our favorite books, discussed films that had touched our hearts, and envisioned the places we longed to explore. We unearthed a mutual passion for classic black and white films, along with an unexpected consensus on the finest pizza toppings, mushroom and olive, for the record. With each shared laugh and every exchanged glance, the bond between us grew deeper, more profound. Time appeared to dissolve into nothingness. I cast a fleeting look at the grandfather clock nestled in the corner of the library. The clock was approaching the hour of 11. How the hours have slipped away, I remarked, a touch taken aback. It might be time for me to consider making my way back. The journey requires a bit of travel. A tide of disappointment surged within me at the mere notion of the evening drawing to a close. Caleb glanced at his watch, a frown etching itself across his forehead. "Indeed, I have held you longer than I originally planned. Is this the final bus?" He drifted into silence, a contemplative look settling upon his features. He turned his gaze toward me, an uncertain, nearly bashful expression flickering in his eyes that evoked memories of the boy he once was, yet it was tempered by the subtle assurance of the man he had grown into. "Eleanor," he started, his voice soft and sincere, "this could be. Proceed onward. And please, don't hesitate to decline. There's truly no pressure at all. Yet, what of the inn? Indeed, it features accommodations for visitors. Though the hour is late, and the journey back for you stretches long through the enveloping darkness." He halted, inhaling deeply. "What if you chose to remain? Is it here at the inn?" "Naturally, as my esteemed guest. We might enjoy breakfast together in the morning. If you're intrigued, I could certainly share some of the restoration work I've been engaged in before you depart. My heart fluttered in my chest. Then, yet another. Remain. The proposal lingered, charged with an electric thrill, a mix of fear and irresistible allure. My rational mind was in a state of chaos, alarms ringing, and warning lights illuminating the scene. Would you care to spend the night? Accompanied by Diana's younger brother? What might others perceive? What might Diana's thoughts be? Yet, amidst the familiar sounds, another voice emerged, one that had been steadily gaining strength throughout the night. It spoke of adventure, of forging connections, of daring to embrace something genuine and exquisite, no matter how unforeseen it might be. He must have perceived the turmoil etched upon my features, for he swiftly interjected, "Separate rooms, of course, Eleanor. I find myself wishing this conversation could linger a little longer. Not at this moment. I find myself concerned about you being on the road at such a late hour." His concern seemed authentic, weaving yet another thread into the intricate tapestry of emotions churning inside me. I gazed upon him, truly gazed upon him, I in the earnest depths of his hazel eyes, a subtle crease of worry etched upon his brow, and the manner in which his hand lay upon the arm of his chair, exuding strength and capability. He was not acting with predatory intent. He exhibited kindness, thoughtfulness, and perhaps a hint of optimism. This felt deeper than a mere casual fling, I could tell. This transcended mere surface matters. There exists a yearning for connection, a desire to hold onto a truly special moment, to prevent it from fading into the shadows of the night. The concept was bold and daring. It was a spontaneous decision. It was entirely uncharacteristic of Margaret, the rational and steady woman I had transformed into. Yet perhaps, just perhaps, that was no longer the person I aspired to become. Perhaps I longed to be the woman who welcomed unexpected adventures, who cherished moments of authentic connection, who dared to stray from the familiar route. With a deep inhalation, I gathered my thoughts. The fragrance of aged tomes and freshly brewed coffee, intertwined with the subtle, enduring essence of sandalwood emanating from Caleb, enveloped my senses. The library enveloped me like a cocoon, a sanctuary of warmth and safety, a realm distant from judgment and expectation. "Caleb," I spoke, my voice unexpectedly calm, even as my heart raced within my chest. What a generous proposal. I halted, a subtle smile dancing upon my lips, and I ponder that I would truly cherish that. A gradual smile unfurled on Caleb's face, a smile so luminous it appeared to illuminate the whole room. It was a smile that conveyed relief, joy, and an elusive undercurrent that hinted at something deeper, an unspoken connection, a mutual recognition that we were embarking on a fresh and thrilling journey side by side. "Good," he murmured, his gaze locked onto mine. "Truly exceptional." He rose to his feet and extended his hand towards me, not as a gesture of assistance, but rather as a means of forging a connection. My hand found its way into his. His hold was warm, a source of comfort. For a fleeting moment, we lingered, fingers intertwined, amidst the serene majesty of the ancient library, the silent potential of the evening stretching before us like a delicate gossamer curtain. In that moment, there existed neither awkwardness nor pressure. Instead, a deep sense of rightness enveloped them, as if two souls had stumbled upon an unexpected and delightful refuge in one another's presence. "I'll go speak to Martha at the front desk," he said, his thumb softly grazing my knuckles. "I will seek out the finest room for you, likely one that offers a delightful view of the garden. That would please you." "I would indeed," I concurred, my voice lacking a touch of courage. As he approached the library doors, I observed him, a tempest of feelings churning within me, anxiety, exhilaration, a hint of incredulity at my own audacity, yet above all, a profound and vibrant joy prevailed. I stood at the precipice of a new chapter, not merely in the unfolding of this unexpected evening, but in the broader narrative of my life, a chapter that took me by surprise, yet one I found myself, in an unexpected twist, fully prepared to welcome. The boy who had merely been Diana's younger brother transformed, within the span of one afternoon and evening, into someone infinitely more significant. As I sat in the serene warmth of the firelit library, anticipation coursed through me, mingling fear and excitement as I pondered what the dawn might unveil.